Time for the voice check.
HOUOUIN KYOUMA、マッドサイエンティストだ。それはこの俺、HOUOUIN KYOUMAが放つ狂気のオーラだろう。
Okay. Cool. So, we'll give it a second to make sure that the sound works for everybody, because there's a 30-second lag before I can actually find out. Because I don't want to start if nobody can hear, because that would not be fun for anyone. Ow, ow. There we go. Perfect. Ah. So I assume it works, because I don't see anybody telling me otherwise. Okay, I'll just assume it works, and hope that somebody tells me otherwise if things go wrong. Okay. Steins gate all time! I ignore the worried stares of my lab mems and head outside for some fresh air. I need to calm down and figure this out. The ticket Lukako bought turned out to be 4th place. The prize is just 5,000 yen, which roughly translates to about $50.
そこの岡部倫太郎さ。
Suzuha calls out to me. She's still polishing her bicycle. Tenoji is squatting next to her, watching her work with great interest. 2 questions come to mind. 1. How long has she been polishing that thing? 2. Just how much free time does the Brawn Tube Workshop have?
洗脳されたような顔してるよ。大丈夫？
洗脳。俺が？
ここには他に誰もいないじゃん。
はあ。そうだな。
それはどっちに対するそうだ？洗脳されたこと？他に誰もいないこと？
洗脳されたことだ。
されたの？
Suzuha suddenly steps up to me and grabs my face. Then she forces my eyes open with her English index finger and thumb.
何をする？
動かないで。
Suzuha peers into my eye with a serious expression. But a second later, she lets go and steps back.
大丈夫。洗脳されてない。
なんだと？
洗脳されてる時ってさ、下まぶたの中によくチップが仕込まれてることがあるんだよね。
Chip? Immediately after saying this, Suzuha gasps and covers her mouth. Then she puts her hand on my shoulder and gives me an embarrassed smile.
岡部倫太郎、今のは機密扱いでお願い。
Don't tell me. Is she...
そうか。お前も機関に捕らえられていた経験があるのだな。
機関？セルンのことだっけ？
いや、皆まで言うな。お前の苦しみ、俺にはよく理解できる。
そう？
機関がひた隠しにする巨大洗脳施設、通称アポカリプス・オブ・ガリアン。あそこはまさに生きる地獄。二度と思い出したくないのだな。
そう、圧砲なんとかって名前じゃない気もするけど、生き地獄だったのは確か。
やはりお前とは良き仲間になれそうだ、バイト戦士よ。聖戦の日は近いぞ。
Suzuha lifts her hand in a half-hearted gesture of enthusiasm.
バイトのお姉ちゃん、洗脳って何
Nai asks as she tugs on the hem of Suzuha's clothes.
それにはこのHOUOUIN KYOUMAが答えてやろ
う。いいです。
え
Nai hides behind Suzuha.
苗は岡部倫太郎が怖いみたいだね。
シェスター・ブラウンよ。俺にイフを抱くのはいいが、 同時に世界を股にかけるマッドサイエンティストへの敬意も払うべきだぞ。
世界を股にかけてるの？
いかにも。俺の天才的な灰色の脳細胞は世界各国の首脳が欲しがるほどのものなのだ。
へえ。
Still clinging to Suzuha's waist, Naya opens her eyes even wider and gasps in admiration.
洗脳ってのは今みたいなことを言うんだよ、なえ。
何を言う、そこのバイト戦士。俺は真実しか話していないのだから、これは洗脳などではない。
オカリンおじさんは嘘ついたの？
誰がおじさんか。
子供相手に怒鳴っちゃダメだよ。怯えてるじゃん。
But Mr. makes me sound old. I'm not even old enough to drink yet. What a disgrace. No, there's no point getting angry at a child. I need to show composure as an adult.
あんたって岡部よりよっぽど変態ね。もうさん付けで呼んでやらないからな。
僕は変態じゃないよ。変態紳士だよ。
はあ？ねえねえ、それよりおかり大丈夫かな。
I can hear voices from the second story window. And since we can hear them clearly from here, Suzuha starts chuckling.
もしかしてずっと聞いていたか。
ごめん。盗み聞きするつもりはなかったけど、どうしても聞こえちゃうからさ。
タイムマシンのことも。
ああ、聞いちゃった。やるね、この。
She strikes my upper arm in what I assume is a gesture of encouragement. What is way to go you supposed to
口
be?
外したりしていないだろうな。もし誰かに喋ったりしてみろ。俺はお前の口を封じなければならなく。
喋ってないよ。私って結構口は固いからさ。
だったらいい。それで一つ聞くが、たった今2階で放電現象が起きたのを見たか。
放電？昨日みたいなグラグラ揺れるやつ？さっき1回やったよね。店長いないから助かったね。揺れて怖かった。
I ignore the little girl's honest impression.
たった今、ほんの1分前ぐらいにもグラグラ揺らしたはずなんだが。
そうなの？でも2回目は見てないな。
Suzuha tilts her head quizzically, then turns back to her bicycle.
私がこの子を磨くのに夢中だったのかもしんないけどさ。苗は見た？
Sister Braun frantically shakes her head.
2回目は見てないんだな。
見てないです。
Disappointment spreads through me. What does this mean? Events I remember happening didn't. The fact that I sent an email. The fact that we argued over what to send. But Kirisu herself remembers that I called her Celeb Sev during that argument. Right after sending the email, I was hit by a feeling of vertigo. That's probably related somehow.
なんかあったの？
お前はタイムトラベルについて詳しいか？
それってどういう意味かな？
Suzuha seems slightly suspicious. So I explained to her what happened just now. Nai probably won't understand a word of it, so I don't think it'll be necessary to silence her.
信じらんない。
Suzuha's dumbfounded after hearing my
そ
explanation.
んなの聞いたことないよ。ねえ、本当のこと言ってる？
当たり前だ。俺たちは紛れもなくタイムマシンを開発した。我らの偉業を否定することは誰にもできない。そう。
ああ、もうそういうことじゃなくて。
Suzuha grabs her own hair in frustration. But then her expression turns thoughtful.
君の言うことが本当なのかどうかわかんないけどさ。
She suddenly lowers her voice.
こういう時はジョン・タイターに聞いてみればいいよ。
ジョン・タイター。
ほら、今さ話題になってるらしいじゃん。過去へ遡ってきたタイムトラベラー。なんか知ってっかもよ。同じタイムトラベラー同士ってことで。
なるほど。確かにお前の言う通りかもしれん。あ、いや、それで間違いない。
The undoing of past events could possibly be explained through the many worlds interpretation that Taito talked about. And come to think of it, it was Taito's advice that led me to the IBN 5100. He should be able to give me a hint this time too. I quickly take out my phone.
俺だ。ジョン・タイターはなあ、そうだ。奴がこの2010年へとやってきたのはまさしくシュタインズゲートの選択だよ。エルプサイコングル。
バイトのお姉ちゃん。さあ、誰だろう。未来人と交信してたりして。未来人？
シスター・ブラウン。俺の電話の相手が気になるか？
気になりません。
Naya shakes her head rapidly. She looks scared. I respond with the weary expression of a mad scientist who has seen everything and lost much.
気になったとしても今後絶対に聞くな。
だから小学生をビビらせちゃダメだっての。
I assume Naya is frightened because of the aura of danger that follows me around. I guess it creates a kind of zone of danger. Kind of like a danger zone. She's right.
バイト戦士、俺は早速タイターに連絡を取ってみるぞ。素晴らしい助言に感謝する。
私役に立った？そんならよか。
Part-time warrior's eyes pop open mid-sentence.
うわ、やっばー。店長機関、店長機関。
I follow Suzuha's glance to see a moped headed this way. Judging by the sheer size of its driver, it must be Mr. Braun.
なえ、もし店長に聞かれたらさ、私はちゃんと店番してたって言ってよ。うん。だから今度、自転車に乗せてね。乗せる乗せる。じゃあ、頑張って、岡部倫太郎。私応援してっからさ。
Suzuha pats me on the shoulder and rushes into the workshop. Naya and I are left in front of the store. The driver stops the moped and takes off his full-face helmet, revealing Mr. Braun!
お父さん、おかえりなさい。
ない。そこのうさんくせえ野郎に何をされた？
Manager leaps from his moped and interposes himself between me and his daughter. His eyes are bloodshot. My spine freezes. What a powerful aura of malice! I guess that's the real danger zone.
てめえ、よくも俺の大事な娘をたぶらかしてくれたな。
待ってくれ。俺は何もしていない。
だったらなんでおめえとナイが二人っきりで話してんだ？
二人きりじゃない。今の今まで鈴葉もここにいました。あの女は仕事をサボってそこのチャリを磨いていたんですよ。
Please forgive me, Suzuha. My life is too precious.
ナイ、そうなのか？
バイトのお姉ちゃんに自転車に乗せてもらう約束したの。だからサボってなかったって言わなきゃ。
Sister Braun ends up betraying Suzuha too. The manager breathes a heavy sigh.
サボる方法だけはうまいんだよな、あのバイト。
It's true I've never seen her actually do work.
というか、この俺を一瞬でも疑ったことについての謝罪はないんですか？
ねえよ、んなもん。
Stubborn old man. He thinks he owns the place just because he owns the place. Well...
いいか、今後もうちの娘をたぶらかそうとしたらただじゃおかねえからな。
そんな自殺行為はしませんよ。
Mr. Braun nods in satisfaction.
ねえ、シュークリーム買ってきたから一緒に食おう。
He parks his moped next to Part-Time Warrior's bicycle, then enters the store hand in hand with his daughter. Cream puffs. You can't get any more out of character than that. Is this what having kids does to a man?
おいこれバイト、サボってたことは分かってんだぞこら。あとなんで42型がつけっぱなしになってんだ。消しとけって言っただろうが。
ごめんなさ
I leave Suzuha to her fate and return to the lab. I need to get in touch with Taiter as quickly as possible. He might be able to give me the answers I seek. He might even be able to explain the event that I witnessed a few days ago, the instantaneous disappearance of everyone on the streets of Akiba. When I burst into the lab, everyone looks at me with a concerned expression. Mayuri starts to speak, presumably to console me, but I put my hand up to stop her.
待て、事情はすべて後で話す。
I explain that we can't experiment anymore now that Mr. Braun is back. Then I dismiss everyone for today.
おかり、あのね、明日バナナ買ってきてあげるね。
Mayuri picks her Upa plush toy off the sofa and hands it to me.
だからね、今はその子をむぎゅーっと抱きしめて元気出してね。
Looks like she's worried about me, but she shouldn't be. It's my job to worry about her. She has work after this, so she leaves. Daru goes with her, presumably to see Ferris. Before he leaves, Lukako apologizes again for messing up the Lotto 6 ticket. He knows about the time machine now. Next time I see him, I'll make him a lab mem to secure his silence. Moika leaves with nothing more than a tiny bow. In less than 30 minutes, Kirisu and I are the only ones left in the lab. Shining Finger! I want to hear more. Oh, okay. Stuff.
そこの助手、お前は帰らないのか？
目障りなら帰るけど。
目障りというわけではないが、何か用事でもあるのか？
いいえ。でも、ちょっと考えたいことがあって。
ホテルに戻って考えればいい。
何？追い出したいの？
そうか。どうせ友達もいないし、ホテルに帰っても一人ぼっちで寂しいから、このホーイン京馬に構ってほしいというわけだな。
寂しいのはあんたの方だろ。さっきからあんまり元気ないし。なんなら相談に乗るぞ。私はある意味で部外者だから。年下の女に相談する男の人って、ぐにょぐにょだけど、それでもいいんなら聞いてやってもいい。
Why does she have to be such a smartass? She even has a mocking grin on her face.
俺はメールをする用事があるのだ。どうしてもここにいたいのならば、邪魔をせず静かにしているのだな。ザ・ゾンビ。
その呼び方が一番カチンとくるわね。
Despite her complaint, Kirisu makes no move to leave. She sits down on the sofa and starts reading a massive technical book. On closer inspection, I realize it's in English. Maybe my assistant isn't a genius, but an extreme study.
コーヒーを飲むか？
もらうわ。
I make some instant coffee for Kirisu. I take a fresh Dr. P out of the refrigerator, and I don't fucking have a Dr. P. For myself and sit down in front of the computer. You know what's gonna happen? Next week I'm gonna have a Dr. Pepper, and they're never gonna mention it. Alright, let's do what needs to be done. I only hope this doesn't get undone, too. My plan is to follow Suzuha's advice. Get in touch with Taiter. After all, what I'm experimenting right now could have something to do with the many worlds interpretation. Which would mean that the Kirisu sitting over there isn't the same Kirisu with whom I discussed the Lotto 6. And it would mean that this lab isn't the lab where we discussed it. How can that be?
何もぞもぞやってんの？
Kirisu glares at me coldly. Damn it, she's looking at me like I'm a perv again. I keep telling her I'm not a perv. I'm HOUOUIN KYOUMA. Anyway, why am I the only one who remembers what happened? That's another question I'll ask John Taiter. I don't know if he's a real-time traveler, but he did help with the IBM 5100, so I'm inclined to trust him. But what should I write? Should I tell him everything? In any case, worrying about it won't solve anything. Enough stalling. I take out my phone. Thanks for the intel on the IBM 5100. The code is from CERN's database. In other news, I successfully built a time machine that sends emails to the past. We can change the past by sending an email. Does that change the world line? I noticed some events were undone. Does this mean the world line changed? You said the many worlds interpretation is correct, but I'd like to hear the proof if you don't mind. I sigh and chug my soda. Now to wait for his reply. I check on the A-channel thread just to make sure, but Taito hasn't posted
ずい
it.
ぶん深いため息ついてるわね。
Kirisu says without lifting her eyes from her book. Maybe I should tell her about how the D-mail changed the past, and about how she seems to have lost her memories about it. Why am I considering talking to Kirisu? Because I don't think Mayuri or Daru would understand this problem. Kurisu, on the other hand, might be able to form a hypothesis. That's what I hope. Just then, my phone rings.
もしもし。
あ、オカリン。実はとんでもないミスに気づいたんだ。
ミス？
Is it about the phone wave? Name subject to change? Is it related to the phenomenon I experienced earlier? I gulp. I know it's pathetic for a mad scientist to show anxiety, but I can't help it. I lick my dry lips and wait for Daru to speak.
実はさ、ラボに財布忘れてきたお。
な。
おかげでメイクインに入れないよ。オカリン、悪いけど僕の財布届けてくんない？お礼にメイクインでドリンクおごるから。
貴様は神田川で水浴びでもしていろ。
I shout and hang up. Damn it, I got stressed for nothing. Right after my phone rings again.
もしもし。財布は届けないからな。
てってるー。おかりんおかりん。
なんだ、マユリか。誰も一緒にいるのだろう。いいか。そのバカに金を貸す必要はないからな。
ああ、うん、わかった。でね、おかりんもう元気になったかなって思って、ちゃんとウーパをむぎゅーってした？
していない。そもそも俺はいつだろうと狂気と野心に満ち溢れたマッドサイエンティストである。
そっか。あのね、何か悩みがあったらマユシンに相談するんだよ。マユシンはね、難しい話はよくわかんないけど、オカリンのことはよーくわかってるもん。
お前にこの俺がわかるというのか。
You get me? I get you. He gets me.
わかるよ。子供の頃から一緒だもん。へへ。
もう切るぞ。バイト頑張れよ。
ありがとう。じゃあね。
たく、あのバカめ。
岡部、顔がにやけてる。
何を言うか、このセレセブが。
セレセブ言うな。
I was going to tell Kurisu the truth, but now I've changed my mind. The mad scientist HOUOUIN KYOUMA would never grin at the words of a mere hostage like Mayuri. Except you did. Totally did.
恋する乙女が好きな相手からのメールを待ってるみたい。
She sure likes to attack me for every little thing.
そんなに構ってほしいのか。
You know, I've been working at May Queen for 3 months as of today. The other girls threw me a party. I can't believe I've been a maid for 3 months. Time flew by. Oh, don't worry. Mayushi's still Okarin's hostage full time.
ささやかな復讐よ。あんたからのひどい扱いにいつもぐっと耐えてるんだから。
これでも俺はお前をリスペクトしているつもりだぞ。
名前すらまともに呼んだこともないくせに。
それについてはすまないと思っている。
Kirisu lifts her face and stares at me in
へ
shock.
え、意外。あんたって謝るんだ。
謝るさ。だがどうしようもないのだ。俺の脳はお前のことを助手のクリスティーナという認識で固定してしまっていて直しようがないからな。
回答して海馬に電極ぶっ刺してやりたい。
Right after that silly exchange, John Tiger's mail arrives. Greetings, KYOUMA. Can you tell me exactly how you changed the past? I'd like to verify what you said is true. We sent an email today. It was set to arrive last Tuesday, 170 hours ago, with contents with the third-place winning numbers for Lotto 6 chosen on Tuesday last week. Wow, that was... It's really quickly. And I can't read up.
メールの相手って誰？
Oh well.
ジョン・タイター。
He was just basically explaining what's happened so far.
嘘。
奴はよほど悪意のある人間以外に対してはオープンだ。メルアドも公開している。こうしてやり取りするのは2度目だ。
道理であんたがタイタンの書き込みを引用したがるわけだ。信者ってわけね。
そういうわけではない。だが奴の話にはうなずける点も多い。
そう？フィクションにしか思えないけど。
That is very interesting. From the events you described, it sounds like you did indeed change the past. I suspect that the email you sent changed Divergence, if only a little. Bravo! The instant your email arrived in the past, you shifted from your original world line to an ever so slightly different world line. On this world line, you received an email from the future containing the lot of 6 numbers. You told your friend the numbers, perhaps because you didn't trust the email, but your friend got a number wrong and purchased the ticket. The original email likely disappeared from your world history when the world line changed. All of this makes sense. The one thing I don't understand is how you kept your memories of the previous world line. Just so we're clear, you're telling the truth, yes? Yes, I still have my memories from before the past was changed. That's the truth. By the way, this is actually the second time this has happened. You traveled 26 years into your past. Haven't you experienced something similar? Also, what effect do you think my intentional manipulation of the timeline might have? Oops. That was quick. I've confirmed that the divergence is currently 0.571015%. I cannot tell what the value was before you changed the past. This is because I, like your friends, have no memory of the world line before you changed the past. In the case of physical time travel, memories are retained even if the world line changes. It's been proven by my own experience, but in the case of an email like the one you sent, the time traveler changes the past without actually traveling through time, a situation that scientists in my time never even considered. It wasn't necessary, since the invention of the time machine in 2034 gave us the means of physical time travel, so I'm afraid I have no idea how to explain the phenomenon you've been experiencing. How exactly do you measure divergence? Where do those numbers come from? Strictly speaking, I was not being entirely accurate when I wrote that Everett Wheeler model is accepted in my time. The first functional time machine was completed in 2034. In the 2 years following that breakthrough, our understanding of the universe structure grew dramatically. In 2036, scientists proved that the universe is comprised of attractor fields, which describe the extent of world lines' convergence. This theory was proposed in 2020. Sorry, I forgot to answer your question. I have a meter that measures divergence. A reading of 0% divergence corresponds with the world line I originally came from. In other words, it's a subjective, not absolute measurement. This tool can only indicate the current divergence. Please explain these attractor fields. How do they affect world lines? Put simply, attractor fields are the focal points of world line convergence. Their existence is responsible for phenomena previously known as fate and chance. There's no real point making small changes to a world line. Due to convergence, small changes do not have a lasting influence. Humans who can observe convergence are exceedingly rare. I haven't met anyone with that ability myself, so I'm unqualified to give you an accurate appraisal, but you, KYOUMA, might be one such individual. You have the power to observe convergence. You might be the one who can guide us to a world line beyond 1% divergence, across the wall that divides attractor fields. The tone of Taito's mail has suddenly changed. He thinks I have some kind of power. First, I feel a sense of pride. Next comes apprehension. Could this be a trap? In the first place, I can't confirm that this is the real John Titor, and I don't even know if the John Titor from 2000 was really a time traveler. If Titor's world line theory holds, then that could explain the supernatural events I've experienced. But this last statement is pretty hard to swallow. As soon as I begin to doubt, all of his words start to smell like lies. That stuff about the IBM 5100 might have been a lie too. That mysterious program code could just be a simple bug. Now that he claims I have special powers, he's starting to sound like some new age con artist. And besides, I don't need Taito to tell me that. Kurisu jerks at the sound of my laughter.
いきなり笑い出すのよ、気色悪い。
これが笑わずにいられるか。実に傑作ではないか。この俺が持つ力だと。今さらそんなこと言われなくとも、俺はとっくに気づいていたぞ、ジョン・タイター。
I snap my eyes open wide. I raise my phone high to the heavens.
この魔眼、リーディングシュタイナーの真の力にな。
話の流れはさっぱり見えんが、岡部次長しろとだけ言っておく。
You know why I don't cosplay? Mayushi doesn't want to stand out. I mean, I'm your hostage, right? Yeah, makes sense.
え？あ。
Kurisu hides her face in her book. She pretends to read, but I can see from here that her ears are bright red. How does she know about Genibio? Is she an A-channeler after all? No, that doesn't matter now. I need to reply to Taito. What is beyond the wall? What will happen when we cross it? If we cross the wall, we will have freedom. If we do not, then the dystopia I come from will be your future. In exchange for providing false peace and joy, your masters will stamp out every last vengeance of free will. As I said on A Channel, my goal is to change that future. And you may be the one who can make that possible. You are the chosen one! Is this some new cult? Or is he really trying to con me here? He's also contradicting himself again. The Taito who appeared in 2000 said he traveled back in time to retrieve technology lost in World War III. Yet this guy's saying he claimed to prevent the creation of a dystopia ruled by CERN. This guy might be an imposter. I'm fed up, so I quit replying, but just as I'm about to pry away from my phone... KYOUMA, I want you to be the Messiah. If the same thing happens to you again, contact me once more. That moment will prove you are the Messiah. It raises the hairs on the back of my neck. What is this? Fear? Disgust? I don't know, but something is very wrong. Messiah. Messiah. Chapter 4. Chaos Theory Homeostasis. Messiah, noun. In Christianity, a title for Jesus Christ. 2. One who brings salvation to mankind. Savior. 3. One who rescues others from peril. Salvation, noun. 1. Divergence from pain and suffering. Kyojin Dictionary.
ジョン・タイターは実にバカだな。
I scream this at the absurdity. Daru and Kurisu give me exasperated stares, but I ignore them.
この俺がメシアだと？勘弁してもらいたいものだ。人類を救済するなど、俺はメシアとは正反対の資質を持つ狂気のマッドサイエンティストHOUOUIN KYOUMAであり、幾多の修羅場をかいくぐり、長年機関から逃れ続けてきたのだ。そんな俺が望むのは混沌。権力者を倒せば平和が訪れるとでも思っているのか。答えは否、断じて否だ。そんな夢物語を信じている脳みそがお花畑な奴にはそのまま死ねと忠告してやろう。権力、
あのさ、牧瀬氏、オカリンは一体どうしちゃったんだぜ。
さあ、数時間前までジョン・タイターと熱心にメールしてたと思ったら急に静かになって、で30分くらい前からこんな状態。
なんか今日のオカリンって全体的にヤバくね。
同意するわ。
聞け、そこのラボメン2人、これよりオペレーションウルドを再開する。
マジで？ 下に店長まだいるけど。
案ずるな。どうせブラウン管工房はそろそろ閉店の時間だ。
夜は電話レンジが作動しないはずでしょ。
Mayuri won a magazine sweepstakes once. Amazing, huh? You know the hero of gun bombs? Setsuri? I won an autograph from his voice actor. Setsuri? Is he from the latest gun bum? I haven't seen it. The original is the best anyway. Ooh! I'm guessing he's talking about Setsuna FC from Gundam 00.
やってみる価値はある。検証するのだ。何時まで電話レンジカッコ仮の作動を確認できるかをな。と同時にダル、それにクリスティーナ、お前たちには D メールによって過去を変えてもらう。
過去を
I still don't believe in the many worlds interpretation or Taito's attractive field theory. Actually, I'm starting to doubt them more and more. If we want to know how the world works, we'll have to figure it out ourselves, and to do that, we need to experiment. One thing I'm sure of is the mass disappearance in Akiba is related to D-mail somehow, as is the strange disconnect between my memory and everybody else's. According to Taito, I have a supernatural power, the one I call Reading Steins. My doubts about Taito's veracity aside, I do need to determine if I am indeed the only person who keeps his memories when the past changes.
好きなように過去を変えろ。ただし、なるべくわかりやすい形でだ。
Preparation for the phone waves named subject to change are complete. Daru's eyes wander to the ceiling in thought. Next to him, Kirisu shrugs her shoulders and starts gathering her things.
私は帰る。今日の実験結果は明日レポートで見せて。
待て！
When I grab her by the shoulder, Kirisu nearly topples over.
何すんのよ。
そのレポートは誰が書くのだ？
岡部に決まってるでしょ。作戦立案者なんだから。被験者自身も実験中の書簡なんかを書いておいてくれるとなおいいけど。
Kirisu glances at Daru.
過去改変には興味がないのか？あれほど実験に前向きだったではないか。
あんたね、昼間のことをもうきれいさっぱり忘れたわけ？
だが実験が始まってからは乗り気だった。文句一つ言わず付き合った。
妄想を垂れ流さないで。
I twist my lips into a grin.
客観的に慣れていないぞ、クリスティ・セレセブよ。
いちいち言い直すのよ。
実験はすでに一度行われた。この俺が。
わあ、オカリン、抜け駆け行くない。
そうではない。過去を改変した結果、お前たちは改変前の一部の記憶を失ったのだ。
今日の昼間のこと？ロト6がどうとか急に言い出したけど。
そうだ。
I explain what happened earlier this afternoon.
それはひょっとしてギャグで言っているのか？
本気だ。
マジっすか。
One look at my face and Daru seems to understand I'm not joking. Kirisu, on the other hand, has a sour look, but she's always like that. Why did everyone else lose their memories? Actually, did everyone else lose their memories? In order to find out, I need them to perform the same experiment.
うわっ、オッケー。僕一つどうしても変えたい過去があるんだよね。
Daru is quick to adapt as always. We've known each other for a long time. He trusts me implicitly. Or maybe he's just being faithful to his desires.
なんだ？ダイエットしろと1年前の自分に送るのか？
そんなメール来てもダイエットなんかしないし。
Daru tells me how he wants to change the events of the Ferris Cup held at May Queen at Nyan Squared a few days ago. On that day, Daru got insta-killed by Ferris in a Rainet Access Battlers match.
その結果を覆そうと？
フェイリスタンの作戦はほぼ完璧に覚えてるんで、その裏をつこうってことだよ。うわぁ、僕って頭よくね？
Ferris is probably too good for that to work. She'll just counter his counter strategy.
まあいい。ダルよ。D メールを送る準備を。
Prepare to Gmail!
よーし、僕頑張っちゃうぞ。
Daru hunches over and starts typing out the mail, leaving me to input the forwarding address into the phone wave. Name's up to change. I sit in front of the X68000 and take a look at my watch. It's 6:55 p.m. No way to know if the phone wave named subject to change will operate at this hour. We haven't figured out the exact window yet.
あんた自身は どう考えてるの？
しつこいぞ。ゾンビの異名は伊達ではないというわけか。
意味がわからない。
ゾンビは死してなお人に襲いかかってくる。実にしつこいのだ。
冗談はやめて。こっちは本気で話してるんだけど。
Kurisu's glare is scarier than usual. I might have wet myself a little.
俺は D メールの送信先が鍵だと考えている。すなわち未来からのメールを受け取った人間、その人間だけは過去改変の影響を受けない。
Actually, that hypothesis doesn't explain the mass disappearance in Akihabara. Of course, I still don't have a concrete proof that the mass disappearance incident was related to D-mail. We'll never know unless we expect.
ダルの実験が終わったら次はお前に D メールを送ってもらう。
嫌よ。
Kurisu replies empathetically.
私は送らない。
怖いのか？
そういう問題じゃない。
ならばタイムパラドックスのことを気にしているのか？
それもあるけど、どっちかっていうと個人的なポリシー。
A policy.
過去を変えるなんて卑怯な感じがするから。私がこれまでに蓄積してきた人生はたかだか18年だけど、それでもその記憶を改変なんてしたくない。
なるほど。今の自分は完璧であり不満はなく、だから
なんでそうなる？これまでの自分を否定したくないの。たとえ失敗ばかりだったとしても、それを含めて今の自分があるんだから。
電話レンジカッコ仮が完全に問題を解決して実用化されても使う気はないと？ジョン・タイターがタイムマシンを好きに使っていいと仮に言ってきても、どの時代に飛ぶ気もないと？青い猫型ロボットが机の引き出しから出てきてもそれを使わないと？
使わないわ。
だが実験は大好き。そうだ。
好きで悪いか？
すなわち自分は高めの見物を決め、他人を実験台にしてほくそ笑む。実にマッドなサイエンティストだ。
あんたね。
できたお。
Kurisu stalks towards me, but is pushed aside by Daru, who presents his phone with a triumphant grin. I take a look. At Ferris Comp. Enemy setup. VLVVLVLL.
さっぱり意味がわからない。
Me and I.
フェイリスタンのカードの配置だお。見ればわかるだろ上皇。オカリンたちが疎いだけ。
Well, whatever. Preparations are complete. If this works, the mail will arrive at Daru's phone 52 hours ago. The discharge phenomenon occurs normally. I close my eyes to shield them from the lightning and sparks. The D-mail was sent. Daru should have received it 2 days ago. However,
そのことをなんで俺は。
when I sent a D-mail earlier this afternoon, everyone else forgot all about it. If Daru's D-mail changed the past, then the person should have changed too. Daru should be the only one who remembers that he sent a D-mail.
過去変わった？
Daru looks around in
ちょっと
confusion.
待て。誰も覚えているんだな。
え？何が？
今 D メールを送ったことだ。
Daru nods. Then I turn to Kurisu. She answers before I
覚えてるに決まってるでしょ。何バカなこと言って。あ、そうか。岡部がさっき言ってたことが正しいなら、私とあんたは過去が変えられた記憶はないはず。
ダル、お前フェイリス杯でフェイリスに勝てたのか？
わかんね
勝てたらフェイリスの手料理とか言っていたはずだ。それは
え。わかんねえ。しょぼーん。
I checked Daru's send history. As expected, the D-mail he's sent isn't there. I do, however, find the D-mail in his inbox. He received it 2 days ago, just like we wanted. This is the same thing that happened when I sent my D-mail.
もしかして過去は変わってないんじゃないの？
ちょっとマユシに電話してみる。
He's the one who changed the past, yet he doesn't remember what happened after the change. That's odd.
あ、マユシまだバイト中だよね。あのさ、悪いんだけどフェイリスタンはそこにいる？うん、いるんだね。じゃあさ、ちょっと聞いてほしいんだけど、僕ってこの前のフェイリス杯でフェイリスタンに勝ったっけ？負けたっけ？え？負けた？誰が？フェイリスタンが？僕が？あ、そう。瞬殺？ そう分かったわ。
Daughter's super busy. Something on the phone. Ooh, Lukako. Mayuri's obsessed with this anime called Rainet, so I rented it to see what it's about. I usually don't watch anime, and when I do, I prefer romance, but I found this anime to be pretty deep. Even though it's aimed at children, I was surprised. P.S. I was so engrossed in Rainet, I couldn't do any practice swings with Sumadare. I'm sorry.
その様子だと過去は変えられなかったみたいね。
なんでオカリンは変えられたんしょ。
橋田が送った勝つための方法って必勝法じゃないせいじゃない？有利になるってだけで。
I had the same thought. Ferris is supposedly a world-class player. Daru's time travel cheat might not have been
最
enough.
終的にフェイリスさんが橋田に勝ったから過去は変わらなかった。
そうだけどさ、ゲームの過程は変わるじゃん。
たかがその程度ではダイバージェンスは揺らがないということかもな。
岡部が言うようにもっとわかりやすく過去が変わったって確かめられる改変にしないと。いえ、別にこの実験に賛成ってわけじゃないけど。
バカ!
いやまだだ、まだ終わらんよ。
Daru starts typing another mail.
もう一度別のアドバイスを過去の僕に送ってみる。今度はもっと的確にフェリスタンに本気で勝てるようなアドバイスだお。
そんなにも勝ちたいのか。
むしろそれほどまでにフェイリスの手料理を食べたいのだろう。
オカリンの答えでファイナルアンサ
ー。Daru writes another email. I don't bother checking what it says. I won't understand it anyway. We activate the phone wave, name subject to change, and send the mail through, just like before.
お
Nothing happens. No discharge. Usually it happens 10 to 20 seconds after pushing the start button. The timer counts down to 0 without incident.
時間切れ？
おそらくな。
なんだよ。
やむを得ない。実験は明日に持ち越しだ。
I check the clock. It's just past 7. Looks like that's the cutoff.
昨日ホテルに帰ってからずっと考えてた。この電話レンジはどういう原理で時間移動を可能にさせているのか。
LHC と似たことが起きているのだよ。お前は言ったはずだ。LHC は巨大な電子レンジだと。
電子レンジが LHC と同等の機能を持ってたら、日本は一家に一台ブラックホールになるわね。
それは日本沈没ってレベルじゃねえぞ。
セルンがあまりに簡単にカーブラックホールを作ってるように見えるから感覚が麻痺してるけど、そもそもブラックホールなんて人工的に作れるものじゃないし、とんでもないリスクのある代物だし、家庭の電子レンジがブラックホールを作れると思う方がどうかしてる。
Taito's time machine is small enough to fit inside a car, and it makes black holes. Well, that's what he said, at least. Now that I'm a little skeptical of Taito, I don't feel like bringing that up.
一つ言えるのは、電子レンジ単体じゃブラックホールは作れないということ。この電子レンジに何かが干渉して電子を注入してきているのは間違いない。
An outside source of electrons. What could that be?
さて、私は帰るから、これ以上むさ苦しい男どもの巣にはいられないんで。また明日、レポートをまとめといてね。
Report writing. Kurusu flings off her lab coat and hurries out the door. Was she serious about the report?
ふむ、牧瀬氏の着ていた白衣か。どれ？
As Daru reaches for the lab coat to smell Kurusu's lingering fragrance, I grab him by the neck and pull down hard.
どれではないバカが。そんなくだらないことをしている暇があったら明日の実験でどう過去を改変するか考えておけ。
And since this changed, it seems like a good enough time to save for the week. Slow but steady. Slow but steady wins the race. Exit the game. Okay.